this is Bob Mason from FX Empire and welcome to the daily crypto tech review of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin and Ripple's XRP. We're looking at the MACDs, the moving averages, the day's support, resistance and pivot levels and the Fibonacci's. It is Tuesday the 23rd of February. Looking at Bitcoin against the US dollar and the hourly candlesticks, bearish start to the day here. Going to need to see Bitcoin avoid a fallback through the pivot at 53,264 to take a run at the first major resistance level, sitting at 58,272. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Bitcoin to break out from yesterday's high. That was at 57,449. So barring an extended crypto rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and last week's swing high 58,321.2 to cap any upside. In the event of a broad-based crypto rally, could see Bitcoin test resistance at 60,000 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 62,458. A fallback through the pivot would bring the first major support level at 49,078 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Bitcoin should stay clear of sub 45s and the second major support level sitting at 44,070. 23.6% fib at 45,501 should limit the downside. On the MACD, we've got a slight narrowing of the bullish histograms after yesterday's late bullish cross, but nothing suggestive of a bearish morning ahead, so need to keep an eye on that. On the EMAs, however, the 50 has narrowed in on the 100 and the 200, which is supporting this early morning pullback. So key through the early part of the day, avoid a fallback through the pivot at 53,264 and break out from yesterday's high, those at 57,449 to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels will be in play. Moving across to Ethereum against the US dollar, choppy start to the day here. Going to need to see Ethereum avoid a fall through the pivot at 1742 to take a run at the first major resistance level sitting at 1976. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Ethereum to break out from yesterday's high. It was at 1938.95. So barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level in yesterday's high to cap any upside. In the event of an extended rally, could see Ethereum test second major resistance level setting at 2173 before any pullback. Would need support from the broader market, however, for Ethereum to break out from last week's swing high 2041.42. A fall through the pivot would bring the 23.6% fib at 1579 and the first major support level at 1545 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ethereum should still well clear of the second major support level sitting at 1311. Looking at the MACD, we have a slight widening of the bullish histogram this morning after yesterday's late bullish cross, suggestive of some upside in the morning. On the EMAs, however, we've got the 50 pulling back from the 100 and the 200, and the 100 closing in on the 200, which are bearish signals. So key through the early part of the day, avoid the pivot at 1742 and break out from yesterday's high 1938.95 to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels are in play. Moving across to Litecoin against the US dollar. Going to need to see Litecoin move back through the pivot at 204.99 to take a run at the first major resistance level, saying at 230.96. Going to need to see support from the broader market, however, for Litecoin to break back through to 220 levels. Barring an extended crypto rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level and yesterday's high at 227.72 to cap any upside. In the event of an extended rally, could see Litecoin test resistance at 240 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 253.69. Failure to move back through the pivot would bring the 23.6% fib at 195 and the first major support level at 182.26 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Litecoin should stay clear of the second major support level at 156.26. The 38.2% fib at 163 should limit the downside. Looking at the MACD, slight narrowing of the bullish histograms after yesterday's late bullish cross, suggestive of some downside but not a bearish morning ahead. On the EMAs, however, the 50 has pulled back further away from the 200 and the 100, which is a bearish signal supporting this early morning pullback. So key through the early part of the day, move back through the pivot at 204.99 and back through to 220 levels to bring resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels are in play. Finally, looking at Ripple's XRP against the US dollar, bucking the trend early on. Going to need to see Ripple's XRP avoid a fallback through the pivot at 0.5618 to take a run at the first major resistance level, saying 0.6536. Going to need to see support from the broader market for Ripple's XRP to break out from yesterday's high. Those are 0.64919. Barring an extended rally on the day, expect that first major resistance level to cap any upside. In the event of another extended rally, could see Ripple's XRP test resistance at 0.70 before any pullback. Second major resistance level sits at 0.7410. A fallback through the pivot would bring the 23.6% fib at 0.5320 and the first major support level at 0.4744 into play. Barring an extended sell-off on the day, Ripple's XRP should stay clear of the second major support level at 0.3826. The 38.2% fib at 0.4632 should limit the downside. Looking at the MACD, we've got a widening of the bearish histogram after yesterday's late bearish cross, suggestive of some downside ahead. On the EMA, however, the 50 has moved away marginally from the 100 and the 200, supporting further upside through the day. So key through the early part of the day, avoid a fallback through the pivot at 0.5618 and break back through to 0.6 levels to then bring yesterday's high and resistance levels into play. Failure to do that and support levels will be in play.